Good evening, everyone. If we could have everyone take a seat so we can get started. We apologize for today's delay. So welcome to the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council meeting for February 10, 2025. And we're going to get our meeting started at 7:07 p.m. I'm Dr. Roxanne Fuentes, the president for BCAC, as well as the superintendent for Berryessa Union School District. Today, Ty Greaves, who's our secretary and normally has our minutes for each of you, he is under the weather, unfortunately. So he will be emailing our minutes out to everyone. And if you have any feedback on the minutes, you can email him directly. In addition, we want to go next to our treasurer's report. Susan?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I have the treasurer's report for January 2025. January 1st, 2025, we had a balance of $648.04. There were $130 in dues received, and then expenses of the BCAC holiday meeting snacks were $64. The City of San Jose District 4 grant has $10,000. The Beautify San Jose grant Cycle 5 has $471. The Beautify San Jose grant Cycle 6 has $5,000. The Nada Noble Charter has $7,456.96. Then we have a District 3 urgent grant, and that's for technology for the BCAC. So the current balance is $4,683.41. We had $284.59 in Zoom fees and technology purchases, and then the robocall fees were $32. And I am taking dues. They're $10 for the year per person. It gets you to all the meetings, all the robocalls. You can suggest things for us to do, like projects for the community. You can do that without paying, but it really helps. The $10 goes a long way. So if you want to see me after the meeting, I'll be glad to take your money. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And next, we're going to go into our law enforcement reports for this evening. And I'd like to introduce you to someone new today from Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department. We have Lieutenant Tiffany Poyadu. Welcome to BCAC.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first time doing a community event here, so thank you for welcoming me. Does anyone have any questions? Well, I'll just hold it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Welcome. But like all of us, we want more police officers, more deputy sheriffs, and so on. But up in Sierra Road, I'm not even making this up, but we're very supportive of our PD and so on. But I haven't seen one in 3 years on Sierra Road. And it's really getting to be bad. When you put the county signs up on Skyview and Sierra, and that mountain blocks your views, once a month they take out the signs that the county puts up. Then all the rest of us, when we come out of our driveways, at night there's no street lights. So it's a very difficult time. And even some time ago, when the police officers do pull somebody over, the light is really bad, which I feel bad for them and anyone else because these drivers. But every night from 5:30 to 7:30, it's like a racetrack. So it's not getting better. But when I first got here, I used to meet all the time with the sheriff to use my videos. I can go on and on. But I don't see you folks anywhere. I just hope you be more visible. I know you have the biggest beat around, so it's a tough one. But thanks, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you bringing this up. I'll make sure that I keep reiterating to the deputies how important that area is as well. Thank you so much. Yeah, come on over.
My name's Alex. I was wondering, is there anything you can do as far as the Safeway parking lot down here? I never see any patrols going through there. A couple of years ago, every day I see the police going through, and things were a lot better. And now we've got homeless people living there. We got campers one guy's been there in a big, large Winnebago like the last month or so. And got guys on the sidewalk dumping garbage everywhere. I mean, it's just a mess. And how do we get those people out of there? Is that something you guys can help us out with? Can you send more patrols through? Can you, get those people out of there? Or what do you need to do? Do you need to get the store owners to ask you? Somebody has to file a complaint. Could you tell me about that?
So there's a couple things that need to take place. One, unfortunate, and I've mentioned to some people as I was walking in today, we have split jurisdiction here. So the Safeway, San Jose's jurisdiction, where we're more into the foothills and the unincorporated areas. So when it comes to those things, it's San Jose PD that you'd want to issue the complaint to. However, having the businesses say that there's no trespassing or anything else will give law enforcement an ability to then have people move along. But without anything posted or people or the businesses saying that there's a problem, law enforcement can't just arbitrarily move people.
Okay.
So it's a community effort between the business owners, the law enforcement, and the community members.
Okay. There are signs posted right now, but they just ignore them and spray paint and leave garbage on the ground.
So it's going to be a combination of communicating with San Jose PD and making sure that those businesses are actually calling and saying, hey, we're having vandalism taking place, or we've got more or continual people that are still here trespassing, and we would like to actually say we want to take a report. Because a lot of times what happens is businesses will say, we don't want this person here, but if they don't want to be a victim of trespassing, it ties our hands as law enforcement. We can't force people to leave if no one wants to be a victim of the crime or the trespassing.
Okay. Is the San Jose police here tonight?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have a question? Thank you. They got it. Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to our elected officials reports, and we'll begin with Assemblymember Alex Lee's office. Tim?
Thank you, and congratulations to our new president again. You want to give her a hand? It's a big task. So I'm with Assemblymember Alex Lee's office. My name is Tim, and I just have a couple of announcements tonight. I do want to, and I'll give you a timeline of what's taking place in the legislature on February 21st, which is a week from Friday. That's the last day to introduce bills. So I will give an Alex Lee bill update in April, because you all know next month we have our big Citizen of the Year. So that'll be our big program. So in April, I'll give a bill update. In May, excuse me, the governor has his budget revised. And so in May, I will give a budget update and let you know what that's all about. I was going to give it a while back, but I figured the best time is in May. So we actually have some more specifics, but it is a $322 billion proposal, and general fund is $228 billion, and we're much better shape than in years past. But I will give you that update. Come to the May meeting for the state budget. The two announcements I want to make, one is the assembly member will host his Unsung Heroes event in mid-April. Now, I'm going to admonish all of you and to ask you to nominate some Berryessa folks. Last year, and I'm going to scold you because I can do that now, but last year there was only one person from the Berryessa area. It was a Penitencia Neighborhood Association person who received a recognition from the assembly member out of 24. We are 85,000 people in Berryessa, correct, council member? And maybe 100 and something in the district, 110,000 in the district. And so we can do better than that, right? Let's not I mean, I know we represent Fremont. I love my Fremonters. I was just there Sunday for the Super Bowl party, but I'm your major advocate, your major state advocate. And I'm telling you, I'm going to pass out some flyers and I want you to nominate someone that you think is deserving of recognition at the Assembly Members Unsung Heroes event, which actually will take place in Fremont. But let's try to up the ante and let's get some Berryessans nominated, okay? So I'm going to give you these when I leave the podium. And then the second thing, we are hosting our Black History Month event on Saturday in Warm Springs at the South Bay Community Church. It's at 11 o'clock. So if you want to join us, come join us Saturday morning. We have a few Berryessa folks that will be recognized. Well, one is we have an organization here in Silicon Valley in Santa Clara County. It's called the Black Leadership Kitchen Cabinet of Silicon Valley. They will be recognized. And thanks to Superintendent Fuentes, the assembly member will be recognizing Dr. Samantha Rainier, who is the principal at Summerdale Elementary School right behind us, right down the street. So come support them. And the other person, we have a Milpitas person, Nicole Stewart, who is a social worker, school counselor, homeless foster youth liaison for the Milpitas Unified School District. So those are 3 Santa Clara County folks. Come by Saturday and root on our folks, all right? This is the year for Berryessa. All right, thank you all.
Okay, we just want to be sure if we have any representatives from Senator Cortese's office. Supervisor Otto Lee's office. Okay, so with that, we'll go to Councilmember David Cohen representing District 4.
Good evening, BCAC. It's good to be here with you. A few weeks ago on January 17th, I gave my State of the District overview here at the community center and talked about all the things that we've been working on and the things that are coming in the next year. So I'm going to talk about a few of the key things that are upcoming that you might be interested in. First of all, obviously homelessness is top of everyone's mind. We've been laying the groundwork in the city for solutions to homelessness, for placements for people so that we have more options to get people off the street and into temporary and permanent housing. This year, we are going to be, I think, beginning to see that pay off as 600 housing units, short-term housing units will become available starting, I think, next week, actually this week, when we open the Brandon Monterey interim housing site down in South San Jose, to the fall when we'll be opening the Cerrone site in North San Jose, and there's multiple other locations in between. One of my big frustrations has been the length of time it's taking to get our Berryessa safe parking site open. It was promised in the fall, it was promised in the winter. It's now, the latest is February 28th as the opening date. We're waiting for some last minute inspections and power hookups and things to get us up and running. That it'll be about less than 3 weeks away now to that date, give or take, hopefully not too much give. And we, at that point, are focused on key streets where we have large concentrations of RVs in our district. And as I mentioned in January, Flickinger, Sierra Road, Junesong, Berryessa Road, within our district are streets that are being given priority for people to have placement onto the site. There's also other streets just south of there in some of the areas in District 5, but those are the District 4 streets that are going to be first priority onto that site, which will have 85 spaces for RVs to move off our streets and onto the site. The good news is many of the folks who are on the streets are folks that we've been reaching out to. Our staff is talking to them in advance, getting them ready. And many of them actually are waiting and want that placement. So we know that a lot of those folks are just desperate to move in. And unfortunately, because of our delays, they haven't been able to move in yet. We're trying not to lose sight of them or lose track of them. So we want to keep them where they are just for a few more weeks so that we can get them onto the site. We're in February, I think last week, February, or first week of March at our council meeting, we will be approving the construction contract for the Cerrone EIH site. Many of you in this room helped advocate with VTA to allow us to use part of their property. This will be the largest interim housing site built in the city with 200 units. They plan to move pretty quickly once they start construction, but given my experience with the Barry SSA parking site, I'm not going to commit to a date, except to say that they're telling me end of summer, early fall, let's just say fall of this year at some point, we will be able to begin to move people in, and I'll be working with the city to prioritize some of the folks in our district that can move into that site. But 200 beds is a lot of space for people from all over the city, so that'll be great. A couple other just construction updates. I'm really excited that those of you who know that the townhouse built property that was built at the corner of Jackson and Berryessa, that new development, well, it's not new anymore. It was probably 15 years old now, but I remember when it was new. On that corner, there was supposed to be a retail center built, and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed. But the people who now own that property told me they plan to start construction before summer of this year. They're in with our planning department right now, getting their construction permits, and construction will start moving. They have some plans for some restaurants and shops and other things at that corner. So that'll be a great addition to our community when that happens. We have been working in North San Jose on the first and largest green stormwater infrastructure project in the city. It's collects all the stormwater sewers in all of the 5 square mile area of River Oaks, and all that water currently goes through some filters and then goes out into the Guadalupe River. But rather than use some mechanical filters and other things, we're building a big basin where that water will flow into the basin, will filter through the ground naturally, and then flow into the bay, into the river, which then goes into the bay. And we are planning a ribbon cutting for that great project on April 1st. It also has some trails and interpretive signs so the public understands what it's all about. It'll add some additional open space. It's behind the Riverview Apartments, right along the Guadalupe River in River Oaks in North San Jose. So that's exciting. We've been, as many of you know, planting trees around the district. We set a goal on Earth Day in 2022 of planting 1,000 trees in 3 years, which I never thought was possible, really, except that I thought we could set a great goal. But we've actually, because of work with the city and our city forest and others, have passed the 900 mark, and we're going to have a planting this spring, which will be our 1,000th tree. And we're going to let you all know when that happens. We'll have some kind of ceremony for that tree that we will actually have hit our mark about 3 years after we started that project. And we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep planting trees. As a result of many of the grants that we've received as part of this initiative, many of the companies and developers in our area have given us money for District 4 specific trees. We're now able to offer any resident in District 4 who wants a street tree in front of their house a free tree. So we've given our city forest this grant, so that if you let us know, we will pass your name on to our city forest. They will work with you, and they will try to find an appropriate tree for you to plant in front of your house, and you won't have to buy the tree. So it's a great, since we've met our goals of planting along the streets and the medians and other places, we're now using some resources to help all of you. So let us know. Of course, this budget process is about to start. It's it's the first tough budget year since I've been on council, but I don't think it's going to be one of the toughest budget years we've seen in the city, but it's definitely going to have some challenges. We're facing a bit of a deficit, and we're going to be offering you many ways in the next few months to provide your input on the priorities for spending this year. Just working with the mayor's office, we hope that we'll have just like we did last year, the mayor and myself here at one of these meetings to get your input and hear what the city's thinking and what the mayor's thinking, and allow you to provide your input on the budget going forward. We might also have a few other office hours and other events in the spring for you to provide input to me directly. And then just one last thing, we're excited that the Berryessa Branch Library is celebrating its 20th anniversary on Saturday, March 1st. Of course, that library's been here longer, but in that specific building, it's been 20 years. And I was there for the opening 20 years ago, and I'm excited we'll be celebrating with an event on that Saturday. I think around 11 o'clock or noon that day, we'll have an event with celebration. And good news is that the Noble Pond right next door to it should be up and running and filled with water by that date. They they're now waiting for the weather, but they're supposed to this week. It's only going to take 2 or 3 days to fix it. They finally figured out what was wrong with it. There was a crack somewhere down inside in the mechanism, and so they have a contractor who's going to come in and fix that. And sometime in the next couple of weeks, when the weather holds for a few days, they'll be out there, and we should have it up and running by the end of the month. So that's my update for the month.
So the pond that is right here, why do they fill it up and then it drains and then they fill it up again?
That would be a great question for our water district director, Mr. Santos, when he comes up here, because the water to that pond is controlled by the water district and not by the city.
Yeah, David, one of the questions I have, you said free trees to the neighborhood. Is there any restriction? Can that tree be on the personal property of the house?
Yeah.
Or does it have to be between the?
No. We're not going to be that strict about it. I mean, we're saying street trees. We really want, if you don't have a street tree, that you plant a street tree right near your sidewalk in the street. But if you want to use it somewhere else in your yard, that'll work too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name's Alva Wilson, and thank you for bringing up the homeless crisis concerns. So my question, you mentioned 600 units coming online this coming year, but we have about 4,000 homeless in San Jose, so that doesn't seem like it's really going to make much of an impact for us that are kind of suffering with all the tents everywhere and you know the inhumane suffering that we see people on the street every day, whether we want to or not. It's there. The question I have for you is safe sleeping sites versus tiny homes. What approximately do you know what is the cost difference? And given the budget deficit this year, shouldn't we be like stopping all tiny homes and just focusing on that to try to make a difference? And then the second question I have is on the RV, Berryessa RV site. Previously, you mentioned that it was possible that D4 would get priority, Berryessa and D4 would get priority for those spots. Is that still a possibility? And how do you do that? And will you possibly be able to establish no return zones in the areas where you move the RVs? And that's it. Thank you.
But he checked all that in order there. But let's start with your first point about, yes, 600 spaces or 600 sites for 4,500 or whatever, the 5,000, whatever the number is, seems like not going to make a difference, but I believe it makes a difference. It's 10% of the people. And I know that it's not going to clear the streets, but it will be a noticeable difference, in my opinion. I'm hopeful it'll be a noticeable opinion. Of course, we also have to continue to spend resources on prevention so that more people aren't becoming homeless as we do it. And that's been our big problem over the years. Having said that, those sites are not intended to be permanent. What happens is they work with caseworkers and people move in, stay there for a period of time. Some of them find new housing and they get helped to move into new housing. So the 600 spots are not permanent placements for 600 people. They're intended to have multiple people come through. So I do believe you'll see a difference, but we're not stopping at those 600. There are other plans, and that moves into your next question about safe sleeping sites. It'll be an all of the above solution. We're beginning to look for safe sleeping locations and do different kinds of sites. We find that some people don't like to move into congregate environments. They don't feel safe. There's people who need the more private spaces. And so having interim housing and safe sleeping sites, and we're also we're looking at more motel purchases as a way to create quick rooms without having to build a new site. So there's a whole lot of different approaches that are being done. And the 600 is just the number that we've been building that will open this year. So that's that piece. On the RV site, yes, the priority is for D4, and that's why I mentioned those specific streets that are our worst right now, on Flickinger and Sierra and Junesong and a couple other places. Oh, and King by Salamani, there's a few. And I meet weekly, and I'm very anxious about how well this is going to work going forward. So I meet weekly with our outreach teams making sure they remember exactly the locations that we've been talking about, reminding them of the priority. We're all aligned on the priority. And so, yes, those are going to be prioritized, those specific streets. Now, there's enough space for others from other locations. There's a few, those of you who go down onto Las Plumas know that there's a big problem along Las Plumas as well. That's getting prioritized for this site because it's only a few blocks away. So there's others that are not in D4 but are close to D4 that will be prioritized as well. As far as no return zones, that's the hope. It's hard to, it's a hard thing to control. I mean, somebody can come and try to park again. There are a few of the sites, 30 specifically around the city, have been identified in what we're calling our OLIVE program, oversized and lived in vehicle. What is the E stand? Anyway, whatever. That program is identified 30 of the worst sites for permanent no parking tow-away zones. So 3 of those are in District 4, and one of those is that section of Sierra Road by the golf course that has a large number because it's been impacted over and over again. And we will be working with making sure those go successfully. And then I'm also very interested in making sure Flickinger stays. So I meet with the staff regularly about what we're going to do after we move people off those streets. But, it's the same problem we have with all the unhoused. People move around looking for places to go.
Couldn't help with the opportunity. I'm Mike Krause here, but the question is there a priority for the RVs or is there a priority for removing people from the streets?
Well, they're both prioritized. I mean, they're different initiatives. Right now, because we're within the month of the RV site opening, I'm focused on making sure that goes well, but doesn't mean we're not also concerned about the other issue. The issue right now is that we don't yet have our north site at Cerrone open. So it's hard to prioritize District 4 amongst the city's sites, but we will definitely in the fall when we have that site open. It doesn't mean we're not working on District 4 sites when they become a problem, and I know that several are. The site at Penitentia and that along the creek east of Capitol right now is becoming a problem. But the reason for that is we address certain places along the creek and we clear them, and then the people go somewhere else, and then we build up another site. And I'm concerned, and I have this conversation a lot, concerned about the concentration. What we're doing is we're making more and more sites off limits, which concentrates people in the sites that are not yet off limits. And that can only work so far. It's like stretching a rubber band or pushing a water balloon around, right? And people move around, and at some point the rubber band will break. And so we're trying to balance all that in a way that will get people placement and not have us spend resources chasing people around. But we are focused, and we're working with staff to get out to that site now and address the needs of people at that site, and hopefully not just continue to move them upstream along Penitentiary Creek, which is what's happening.
So maybe a clarifying question would be, I know there's a concern of getting people out of the creeks where there are homeless that are underneath bridges and on other street service. So that's really the question I was asking you is there a priority first for the RVs to be removed from the community? And second, is there the next priority is the creeks? And the third priority is the bridges and whatever locations.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we're necessarily saying that the priority of creeks is going to stop us from taking action in non-creek locations, but creeks are certainly an issue because for our stormwater permit that we have to get from the state of California, we are required to make sure that the water near the creeks and going into the rivers is clean. But there's a map of those priority areas along the creeks and highlighted the priority creeks that are being addressed. Penitentiary Creek is not on that priority map. So I consider the Penitentiary Creek issue to be the same as any other issue with unhoused living anywhere in our district, that we're addressing the worst locations, but that one's not prioritized because of the creek. It's prioritized just because of the issues in the neighborhood around it or because of concentration of people. But there are certain locations that are definitely of high priority because they are along key drainage areas in the creeks.
Outside of District 4?
Most of them are outside District 4, although Coyote Creek is one, but Coyote Creek, we've already cleaned that up several years ago, the Coyote Creek section of District 4.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
from this area. There are no businesses or people who want to come here. Restrictions. So are we getting people that are not necessarily from this area, and how much of our resources that our taxpaying dollars do we put for people who are maybe from Colorado or from Milpitas or somewhere else where we don't have the space, right? Because we just barely have enough space for the people from
Well, the studies we do don't differentiate between Milpitas and San Jose. I'll start there, but they're usually county studies, right? So people from within the county. I haven't seen this year's data, and when they did the point in time count, I don't know whether we'll get an updated number this year. But all the studies in the past the number's always been that about 85% of the people on the living unhoused in our county are from our county.
Okay.
So that's what we do know. It's hard to be sure every day, what's.
Well, I just wanted to get an
Yeah, we do think most of the people are. And what we also learn is they're very local, even more local than that. That's one of the reasons why some people that are living in North San Jose don't even want to take housing in South San Jose. They're waiting for something closer. They have some connection or tie to the area where they are.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, so first question I have is, where do we go to get more information on these different programs and plans dealing with the homeless? For instance, the RV park down here in Berryessa. Where do I go to get more details on that in terms of, how the people are selected, what are their responsibilities, all the costs involved, et cetera?
That's a good question. There's a website somewhere in the city that has that. I don't have it off the top of my head, but under our housing department, there is. Are you looking it up right now? He's looking. Lamb on my chief of staff is in the back trying to find out the actual site where it is on our city website. There is for that olive program I mentioned, there is under the city's Department of Transportation a website that describes those 30 locations around the city that are going to be no parking and the timeline for addressing each of those streets and when those signs are going to go up. That's under the Department of Transportation website. I don't know what, as far as, do you have it? Okay. Well, I mean, how do you navigate to it? Under what part of the city? Do you know?
Thank you. So the second thing is, very frustrated as far as the homeless situation in Berryessa here. There's the East Valley School District by the Penitentiary Creek there. It's a city property. We've got these homeless living there. There's more tents coming in. I can't seem to get rid of them. They've been there. Well, one guy's been there for a few years for sure. And we had tents on the, like 100 feet away on the Penitentiary Creek Park area. And I complained about that. The ranger came along, gave them a 72-hour notice, and they were gone within 72 hours. So why is it that the county seems to be able to move these people out within 72 hours, and the city can't move people off their own property, a school property? I'm very frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the same answer I gave before. We address certain areas that become highly impacted. When we do that, they move and concentrate in other areas. And unfortunately, what happened, we cleared this part of the Penitentiary Creek near the trail under 680 and around that. And when that happened, many of those people moved down up the creek further, and now they're on that other site. And we're trying to do it in a way that's kind of smart and doesn't have us spend resources chasing people from place to place. So we take a little time. We try to do it right, but we are working right now on that site. We're talking to our city staff about the best approach. We certainly, every time we hear about an issue like a dog or something else that potentially puts people at risk, we send people out immediately. And if there's ever any a safety issue that anyone experiences, they should call the police immediately. If there's a dog issue, let us know. We have our animal control folks who go out when those happen. But we're trying to make sure we just have a plan before we just move people off. Because when the county moved people off without the plan, they moved right over into where the city property was. And so it didn't really solve the problem. And so that's why
we want the better Berryessa. That's the area we're interested in.
Yeah, I know.
They go somewhere else.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand. The staff that I work with in the city, I mean, I'm one of 10 council members, and they are hearing the same thing that you're saying from residents like you in every neighborhood in the city. And so I give my input and can provide my priorities, but I can't tell them to prioritize my district over everyone else's district.
So who do I talk to as far as getting the planned abatement of these different areas? Obviously, they're prioritizing. So I want to find out when this area is going to be prioritized. What is the plan to abate the area on the East Valley property?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to give you a date. What we're going to say is that we make sure that the city staff is aware of the problem areas. We work with them to figure out the proper timeline for that. I can't, they're not going to tell you a day, but if you certainly are, what's the number now? There's a report encampment portal that people should report to. And the more reports they get, the more likely they are to prioritize. But so you should report, everybody should make a report if you feel that it's something should be reported to the city. We know about it. We are asking in fact, you're going to have right tonight somebody from Beautify SJ here. Our Beautify SJ team is responsible for going out, assessing those camps, deciding what needs to be cleaned up, making sure everything's contained, and helping decide what areas are rising to a level that needs more immediate action. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to bring up Santa Clara Valley Water District, Dick Santos.
Good evening, everybody. Hi. I guess Richard Santos, you're director of Santa Clara Valley Water District. Anyway, the challenges, continue. The good news is we're going to have some more rain. So those are good things. But with that comes, of course, floods and other things. You got to be prepared. I know the emails I get is constantly about the in-house, which we get homeless. And 95% that I get, it's in the city, East Side School District, and the county. Because we all been through this. But Jennifer Coding, our manager, looks it up and gets back to you. So whoever calls in, you always get an answer. But that doesn't make us not, because you're all our residents. So we try to help out with the city and so on. Unfortunately, there was a Senate bill that was passed, I can't remember what it is, that's going to give the city and the counties money. But they omitted special districts. So it's up to the cities and the counties to help share some of that revenue so we can be partners and address this homeless that's never going to stop. When we do an area, let's example, a couple 100 yards, they're back the next day. So the ordinance we passed November 28th basically gives the San Jose PD, because we spend your money, $450,000 a year to protect our employees, dog bites, gunshots, harassment, violence, you name it. At the same time, it gives them the opportunity now, the PD, to make the arrest. But then when you make the arrest, the district attorney lets them out, and so do the judges. So, we need more medical facilities, mental, we can go on and on. So it's a never ending deal. And when people don't want to get involved or other cities become partners, all you do is push them to another area. So it's just a revolving door. So I came up with something. I'm putting together a letter with our staff to get a JPA, so-called a Joint Powers Authority in Santa Clara County, and have all 15 cities come together and every 4 months have a meeting and every city be a host. So the burden of financial responsibility just doesn't go on San Jose or just doesn't go on in Milpitas or whatever. So we can all meet, and the American have a designee and we have a designee, but we meet every 4 months. That's my proposal. And we address it as partnerships so we can get funding to do a better job, because we cannot afford to do it by ourselves. So we all need partnerships. So common sense should be the issue. We just got through with the city of San Jose on Cherry Avenue. I think it's 50 people, I believe, told me to $18.3 million. And we just had the ceremony. And that removes a lot of folks out from the Willow Glen area, out of the creeks, and our easement areas, because we have to do flood projects. So, and then we have 10 dams. Every one of them have a seismic issue, because they were built in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. And so it was done. And then today, it's same old politics. Anderson Dam is going to take 10 years. Why? So we write the governor and say, we had a bill. He vetoes it the last day to speed it up. We don't want to get away with the EIRs or the sequels. We just want to speed things up, because there's not enough money. Every time you have a pause, it's $1 million. So those are the things that's all politics. That's life. And we do the best we can because the taxpayer's on the hook for it. And David was talking about water and so on, going out to the bay. Well, that's why we're in the recycling committee together with the partnership of the city of San Jose and the city of Santa Clara. So we can recapture that water because this is an arid state. You're going to have droughts for the rest of your life. So I repeat that over and over and over. So you have our critics that don't want to build new dams. Well, what happened in LA? The dam was broken. The firefighters, I was one for 33 years. Where's the water? People died terribly. 15,000 homes, 15,000 firefighters were out there. But those things have to be fixed. Firefighting, police officers, many other things got to be a priority because when that stuff goes down, nobody wins. And so we're trying to build Pacheco Dam. We're fighting everybody over it. But the dam was built in 1939. I didn't build it. FDR did for a reason to prevent flooding and capture water for your great grandkids. But we have to fight the Sierra Club and every other politician. Yeah, you got to pay, but just think what if you don't have water, what you're going to pay? You can live without electricity, but you can't live without water. So I got mine. I just want to make sure your grandkids have it. It's just simple. You got to make sure the politician stands up and quit wasting time. Let's get things done. Because when those emergencies go down, there's never enough water and we need drinking water. So we're on the right track. It's just, unfortunately, you and I could build something in probably 3 months. When it comes to whether it be the water district, the city of San Jose, it takes years. Why? There's lack of common sense, and everybody wants to do a study. We all know where the issues are at. So I hope that JPA will be created. I hope that Council Member Cohen and others will buy into that so we can start addressing it together. Because together you can have more grants, more funding, and more legislation. And that's how it works. And the PD again today, we give more rights to criminals than we do the folks here. Doesn't make sense. So we're going to continue working. Um, Can't think of something else. You were talking about that's the city of San Jose. All we do is give you water when we have excess water, but you got to clean the thing. I've been through that 100 times. Well, I hope so. Call his office because but San Jose's got to clean that up. Not before me, not before I get water. It's whatever excess water we have gravity fed from the Bob Gross ponds coming there. But you can't have ducks sitting there with mud and garbage and trash. You got to clean it up.
So it's spilled, and then a few days later, it's really, really low. So then it gets spilled again. Is the water leaking?
When we do, to answer you in short, because I know time's here. When we do maintenance, we get the sludge out, everybody's turtles, everybody's fish, everybody's garbage when they throw it in there. When we clean it up, sometimes it's shut down for 2, 3 months. But if it's not and we have excess water, it's gravity fed to this pond here. That's how it works.
But then is it absorbed like like the perk ponds? Is it absorbed into the ground? Or I don't understand why it keeps getting filled up and then the water disappears. Is it absorbed into the ground or is it left?
It disappears if we have maintenance or issues that we have to clean up. That's one.
Okay.
And two, if there's excess water. It's not a priority because those ponds are the ones with the recharge. That's a priority. When we have excess water and this place is cleaned up, then we'll give some water. Okay? I've been here with folks many times over there and saw garbage or trash, turn it in. We've had our people over there. Don't make sense. Clean it up.
I've asked this question before. Several city people and the San Jose Water Department says
Between
it's not our responsibility to say it's the city.
Between the county and the city that passed the buck, we don't own it.
So who's responsible for the pond?
The knowledge I have, city of San Jose.
Is there anybody from the city of San Jose here? Water. Water. Yeah.
We've had volunteer. Sure. Motivation in the state of California. Y'all do a good job. What we got to do today is and not knocking anybody, it's the Googles and Intels. Those are the folks that use a lot of water, and they need to pay their fair share. And the politicians got to need to hold them responsible because they do create jobs and so on. But again, they make more money during these times than anywhere else, and they got to pay their fair share. You got to keep on doing what you're doing because there's not enough water for everybody here. Again, if you read the Stanford scientific papers and the NASA, it says you can have 10 and 20-year droughts as you did in 1840 and 1860s. It's a reality. Are y'all doing a good job? See me after this. I'll talk to you. Thank you.
And we do have a presentation this evening. So before we do that, Lilia Hancock for the Seniors Commission.
I will be brief. Basically, that our Vice Mayor Pam Foley is in charge of or works very closely with the Parks and Rec department, and that's probably who you should address those concerns to. The Senior Commission basically meets once a month, and the Senior Commission is basically commissioners from each district. We do have openings. You don't have to basically live in the district to represent that district. So there's a citywide commission open seat, and there's a couple of other commission open seats. You don't have to be a senior to be on the senior commission. That's the other thing. People think, oh, well, I'm not a senior yet. I can't apply. You can apply to any of the commissions, and your candidacy will be looked over by the councilman, and then they'll decide whether or not you can represent their commission. But we basically try to align our interests with the interests of the city, with the interests of AARP, with the interests of community members, and the various initiatives that we're working on is housing specifically for seniors, not in a mixed group setting, but specifically for seniors in addition to the food and nutrition. I don't know if you have heard the alarming statistics of the growing population of seniors in the area, and 2030 is even worse. And as you go to 2040, the numbers are staggering. So we definitely need to do some preemptive type plans to better the living standards of the seniors in our neighborhood. And that's all I have. If you basically ever wanted to contact me, you could do so one of two ways. One, you could email me at seniorcom4@sanjoseca.gov. Or the second item is if you email councilman, he can always forward it to me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lilia. And defer my details about this so we have some special guests that are here. But I do want to share just a few of our schools, Vinci Results Program. So it's a business organization that goes through and looks at all of their academic test score data and reviews how well they're supporting students to progress from level to level from wherever the children are. Last year, Summerdale was a recipient, and you heard me share that great news. And this year, Vinci Park is a recipient of that award. So really proud of them and the whole school community for all the work they're doing to support their children there. The students are on vacation next week in honor of President's Week, so please make note of that. And so with that, I do want to thank, she's not here this evening, but Demily Gomez of She did some outreach with us to let us know that they could come and do a presentation to share with all of you the different outreach supports that are available across our city. So she has members here from her team. I'd like to introduce all of you to Manuel and to Luz, who will share bits and pieces about Beautify SJ. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for the invite. My name is Manuel. I am the community care coordinator with Beautify SJ, specifically the neighborhood beautification portion. And then this is my coworker, Luz.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luz Juarez, and I oversee the neighborhood litter program with Beautify SJ. I'm the community coordinator for that program.
Yeah, so I wanted to say I'm super excited. I've worked with the city for quite some time. Most recently, I actually worked at this Berries Community Center, overseeing the Rock After School programs, as well as partnering up with Dr. Rayner. So I want to give a huge shout out. She's super amazing. But we just kind of wanted to share a little bit of our program with Beautify SJ. Specifically, what I do in the neighborhood beautification program is the dumpster days that we have here in the neighborhood. I know I did talk to council. We have one booked. I'm not sure if they've canvassed yet or let you guys know, but on February 22nd, you guys will be having a dumpster day. There'll be 12 40-yard bins. They're going to be right behind Piedmont High. So I believe, I forgot the two streets, but they're going to be right behind the high school. You can't miss it. There'll be 6 bins on one street, 6 bins on the other. They'll basically be having a line. So do anticipate a lot of traffic there, but if you have things at your house that you'd like to get rid of, that is non-hazardous, feel free to bring it. Couches, fridges, anything that you just have laying around is going to be free of charge. You'll just go on the line and then they'll be able to assist you and put all that stuff in the bin. That's specifically the program I oversee. So really excited to kind of tell you guys February 22nd, you guys have stuff at your house. Make sure to come on along and throw it away. Um, with that being said, too, if you guys see that, your area, your neighborhood, whatever it may be, bring it up to your neighborhood association, bring it up to your council member in their office, and then they can get those requests with me, and then I can have those bins for you. Specifically, the 40-yard bins are for all household items, like I said, fridges, microwaves, anything you can really think of, as long as it's non-hazardous. You can throw that away. It's free of charge. It's something that we just kind of want to do to prevent the illegal dumping. I know, like when I worked here, I know the Safeway would have a good amount of stuff, whether it be a fridge or something randomly there. So we're trying to just give the community an opportunity to see that we have bins free of charge. Like I said, 12 bins is a very, very big event for us. We usually do minor ones, 3 to 4. So this 12 bin one, I do anticipate a lot of the community members to be there. But yeah, it'll be from 8 to 11:30, I believe. And just get in line, throw away your things, and we're really just hoping that this program that I oversee specifically attacks the illegal dumping, to show the community members and also the outside community members that we do have dumpster days. We encourage everybody to come, throw it away instead of seeing it in front of Safeway, in front of the community center, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's specifically what I oversee. Um, Neighborhood associations and the council office are usually my primary contacts. And then it's a really fast process on their end. They just send me a request. Hey, I want it at this place. Can you provide some staff? And if we are not hosting our own internal events, we'll be there. And like I said, you'll just see us moving all these things. It's a really fast system. We don't ask you guys to get out of your car. We just, a lot of times, just open up your trunk. Our staff will go out there, pick it up, throw it away, say have a good day, and then just move on to the next person. But I'll pass it over to Luce, and then she can talk about her program.
And just so you know a little bit more about the neighborhood litter program, it's a program that was designed to engage communities in keeping their neighborhoods clean through various initiatives. It is a volunteer-driven program that helps communities host their own events, either with the participation of volunteer groups or individual volunteers that want to keep their neighborhoods clean. Our neighborhood litter program also offers an enrichment curriculum to all the schools citywide, in which we try to educate the youth on the importance of not littering. So we feel like it's creating a positive impact, educating the youth on the importance of not littering, because then they go to their parents and they're advocates of what they've learned and they want to be proactive in keeping their schools, neighborhoods clean, and they want to participate. And we've had really, really great success with that program. Last fiscal year, we presented at more than 74 schools citywide, reaching over 7,000 students. So this is something that we want to bring. I know that we've tried getting into schools in the Berryessa Union School District, and I know that right now they're working in getting the contract for the MOUs and getting all that situated so that we're able to reach out to these schools in D4. But I know that there's also some schools that have allowed us to go into the schools without the MOU. So if that's something that you have a point of contact, please feel free to reach out to me, and then we can go ahead and schedule those presentations. They are between 20 to 30 minutes. It's a PowerPoint presentation, and then we have like a Q&A with the students following a litter cleanup in the school campus, which has been like an eye-opener for them because they get to see that they themselves are littering. And I think like once they go out there and notice that in the school campus, they get really excited of like, you know, like the things that we talk about of how negatively plastic is affecting our sea animals and how litter, you know, goes into the rivers and the creeks and then it lands up in the ocean. So we've had great success with that, and that's something that we're, you know, able to provide to all the schools in D4. We are also hosting a annual city cleanup event. It's called the Great American Litter Pickup. That one is hosted once a year. It's in honor of Earth Day. This year is scheduled for April 19th. So if your association wants to host a site for this event, you're more than welcome to do so. I can give you my information. We provide all the supplies that you need for the event, and even not just for that event, but if you want to proactively, you know, clean your neighborhoods or things like that, we provide all the litter supplies that you need, such as garbage bags, vests, gloves, and all of that is completely free. You can either pick it up at our community center, which is based at Kirk, or we can deliver them to you, whichever works best for you. And we also want to encourage all of you to, if you haven't done so already, to download the San Jose 311 app, as it has various resources that you guys are able to report, such as graffiti, illegal dumping, junk removal services, and just different things like that that you're able to get through the app. We're going to leave some resources for all of you that pertain to our program. So if you have any questions, please let us know.
Any questions? Of course. Yeah. 40 yard. It cannot. Oh, says yeah, sorry. It's gonna be February 22nd. We're gonna have 12 cubic bins. They're 40 yard. They're really, really big. You're not gonna miss them. There'll be 6 on. It's behind the school. I forgot the streets. I'm sure somebody could probably mention them, but there's gonna be 6 on one side, and then right around the corner there'll be another 6. It's going to be hosted primarily through the council, so they'll be there, but we will have some staff assisting on unloading, throwing them in the bin, and like I said, it's a pretty fast system, but 12 bins is probably the biggest event I've held in the 6 months I've been here. So I do anticipate a good amount of cars. Our limit is 25, so you can just imagine how 23 is. Yes.
Quick question. So the upcoming Piedmont, do you have to live the dumpster day? Do you have to live in that neighborhood? Because it seems like when I've heard about dumpster days, you have to live within a certain block radius, and they name the streets and all of that. I've lived in this area 35 years, and I've only had one dumpster day near me. So it's based on request. And do you ever, that kind of comes to my second question point. Do you ever just proactively do dumpster days like in more public places, parking lots where you've had a lot of code enforcement plates of traffic?
So yeah, so to your first question, it is not just to the neighborhood. Primarily, whenever the advertisement comes out, or whenever council does it a little different, but whenever we're hosting our own internal events, we primarily partner with the neighborhood association or council and let them know it's primarily aimed for this neighborhood. We put our signage really, really close. I would say you're gonna see it around that area. that doesn't stop somebody from seeing it and saying, "Oh, I can come over here." We don't get too much. We, like I said, we try to aim within a week of marketing to do it just for this neighborhood, so we don't have people coming from elsewhere. But like I said, if they come, we don't turn them around because it is a neighborhood event that anybody else can come in. But we don't really have that too often. So to answer your question, there are people that do come outside that trickle in. We don't turn them around if they're not from the neighborhood. And then the second question that you asked was, yeah, we actually just recently had one here at the Barrios Community Center. When we have partnerships, it does make things a lot easier. Because as like I said, if we were to go to Safeway, we're gonna have to ask for permission to be on that parking lot. Sometimes we have some events called collection events. We market all the way through the area that we're going for. Primarily, the most recent one that we had in this area, I want to say was I just joined the team, so September. So September, we had about 4 bins right here. We had it for Thursday. We canvassed the area. We had a lot of flyers, and then on Friday we showed up again with another 4 bins. So the people that did miss it on Thursday and Friday, we got a. I think we always have a good turnout. I think all of our bins are always filled. It's usually about 2 to 3 tons, so 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of illegal dump, well, not dumping, but trash that we have. And then yeah, that'll be on the weekdays. When we have the weekday ones, sometimes we do have some community members. Oh my gosh, I really want it on Saturday. Sometimes when we have it on Saturday, they want to have it in the week. So we try to switch and alternate. It's really the neighborhood association as well as the council office. If there's an area that we just see, we proactively do our events ourselves, and then we'll host one. The Berryessa Community Center of our events that we chose to be here.
Do you know anything about the anti-graffiti program? You mentioned that earlier, in terms of restrictions and how that works. For instance, areas seem quick and other areas touched, and I don't know if that's because, let's say, it's a state bridge versus a city bridge. Like the bridge over 101, for instance, at Old Oakland Road, and it's painted up all the time, never seems to change. And why isn't that cleaned up?
So we don't oversee necessarily that, but I would highly recommend using the 311 app right there. It's basically kind of like a ticket system. So as long as you put that on there, they'll go to that team directly. They'll see all that. As I know, one of your questions that we had and something that I've actually incurred was the Plata Arroyo Park, for example. That's right there off of King. There was a bunch of graffiti on all that bridge that's above the creek. My initial thought was, oh, I know somebody in graffiti. Why not just tell them to come over here and just paint it? We're not allowed to paint it because if we do paint it and there is paint that does go down in the creek, we would what's called obviously be looking bad, and it's not something that we're allowed to do. So it's not, you would think it's easier just going over there, but if we were to get a drop in there, that is something that we're not allowed to do just because we can't go into the creek. As for the higher stuff, I would say just I don't oversee that, but the 311 app is something that they have a ticket system, so they'll see that the more tickets that they get, the more they realize that it's a priority and that they should be covered up. Additionally, too, I think something that I did not mention is for our dumpster days that we have. If your neighborhood association or your council office requests to have it be a litter event as well, me and Luce partner up for those. So basically, we just ask that we have volunteers. Our staff will lead them, and we'll kind of just like I said, provide all the material. We'll walk out with you guys and just kind of have a designated area where you guys will have vests, gloves, the garbage pickers, and just making sure that it's those are my favorite events because not only do we have the dumpster day there, but we also have some of the community members there as well. A lot of times they'll bring their kids, their grandkids, and it's all of us wearing a vest, picking up some things, getting all those bags. And then just as she said about the autumn, yeah, Great American Litter Program, after you guys host an event, wherever you guys are doing it, we just ask that you guys put in one location all the bags, and then our team will pick it up free of charge and throw it away after.
With the event behind Piedmont Hills High School, does that include televisions?
Yes, you can bring your television, yeah.
And with regard to litter, since you're in charge of the litter cleanup, can you clean up this pond over there?
We don't have a staff that is designated to just go out there and clean certain spots. We do provide the supplies, so if you want to host a litter cleanup event, we can help you coordinate that. We can attend that first event that your association schedules with us, and we, like I said, we'll bring all the supplies. We will bring resources for the community and residents, but it is a community effort. And we will support those efforts by, coming into the event, providing all the supplies, but moving forward, if you want to continue with those clean you're more than welcome to do so and organize that with your community members. No more questions? Okay.
First of all, I want to thank the Beautify SJ team. We have an amazing team of people who respond really quickly and work really hard to keep our city clean. With the illegal dumping, 72 hours to something off the side of the road if you report it through the 311 app. Same thing with graffiti. They're out usually within 72 hours. Unfortunately, we don't have jurisdiction on anything over a highway. Caltrans has to handle that and the city cannot, but they do a pretty good job everywhere else. I just want to, it's been a while since I've explained how we set up dumpster days since I've been in office in District 4. So I want to just take the opportunity to clarify that. We have dumpster days in about 7 locations around District 4, and we rotate. We used to do 5 or 6 per year, which is very expensive, and because of budget constraints, we're cutting back to about 3 or 4 per year. So you won't see it as often as it was in our first few years and that I was there. That's one of the reasons why you're not seeing it as frequently. What we've done is we've divided the district into well, it's more than quadrants because it's about 7 areas, but we divided into those 7 areas. And whenever we do a dumpster day, we mail within that area. Everybody gets a postcard at their home. Those are the ones we expect that dumpster day to be for. We certainly don't turn somebody away if they also show up at that dumpster day. The dumpster day on the 22nd is for the area north of Sierra Road, east of 680. So that whole section and everybody who lives in that section should have gotten a postcard or will in the next week. I don't know exactly when they're going out. We've done 2 for the area south of Sierra Road, east of 680, and everyone in that area received postcards before those. So this one is meant for north of Sierra Road, but certainly if you have something you want to get rid of and you show up that day, it will be fine. But that's how we've done it to keep it manageable, because otherwise we find that some of the same people come to every dumpster day and get in the way of other people having an opportunity. Our predecessor used to do it where people could go online and sign up, but only certain people would go online and sign up, and many people did not have access to those dumpster days. So we changed it and said anybody who's within this area, this dumpster day is for. So on the 22nd is our first one of this year. We'll do a few more. We'll probably be back here before the end of the year for the folks from Noble neighborhood west to 680.
We give Beautify SJ another round of applause. We appreciate all that information. And just a few announcements. Our next general membership meeting is a very special one. That's on March 10th. We'll be celebrating our ethnic celebration, and this year we're focusing on the Portuguese history in the learn about that. And in addition, that's combined along with our surprise announcement of who Area Citizen of the Year will be. So fun. March 10th. And then for our BCAC board members, we have our board meeting on Monday, February 17th at 6:30 at Linda's home. So thank you everyone for joining us. We have coffee and there's treats in the back. We still have a few minutes here at the center, so please help yourself to that. Well, we have the Portuguese history celebration, so we will be looking for cookies and treats for April. So if you're willing to volunteer for that, just let us know. But thank you and drive safe home. Thank you.